We're driving cars on a Mars tonight. We're blasting up to the stars tonight. We wanna go, go. We wanna go, go.
Hi, what an interesting couple of years we have had living with COVID. Social distancing became a thing, we've had lockdowns and we were unable to travel. Well, our program is going to sort all that out for you. What? Another travel program, I hear you say? Well, yes, but we're a little different. We are going everywhere. Discovery is not only about exploring the backyard of South Australia, but also great overseas and interstate destinations as well. On today's show, if you are thinking of heading overseas, we talk to those in the know about what to expect and what to do. We check out Tasting Australia, which is happening right now, and why you should be there. And Andrew Hayes books a holiday in an underwater hotel in the Whitsundays. And if all that doesn't grab you, our special offers from RAA Travel will. Let's go discover.
If you're a social foodie like me, then restrictions and lockdowns and social distancing has been torture. But now we can get out and about and mingle, we have to. And my tip is Tasting Australia, and it's on right now.
Tasting Australia is 10 days. We're 2 days in, 11 regions and over 200 events. The essence of Tasting Australia is really our produce, put in the hands of Australia's and international finest talent, beverage and chefs, and just watching the magic happen.
My mate and fellow foodie Themis agreed to meet me here at Hotel Indigo to check out which events we're going to go to.
Mate, whiskey for me and summer blush for you.
What a stitch up. Cheers, mate. Tell me, what have you found?
I'm looking at the current 2022 Tasting Australia program.
I guess when you think of Tasting Australia, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Because it's such a big festival.
Obviously, the very first thing you think about is Town Square Kitchen or Town Square kind of dinners, really, that big masterpiece at the top end of Victoria Square.
So people can come into the Tasting Australia Town Square and it's free entry, and there's lots to do for the family there. We've got our great food vendors, all South Australian restaurants, catering companies that have come in, set up and making some delicious food, super accessible, bring the family and you can just relax and enjoy the atmosphere of Town Square.
I think one of the things I love about Tasting Australia is how kind of inclusive it is, because you've got those, the pinnacle of Tasting Australia, which is those kind of high-end chefs coming from all over the place. But then you can literally just roll in and grab a spot of lunch or take your family, and there's something kind of for everyone.
Town Square Kitchen is our premium restaurant experience within Town Square. These are ticketed events, but this is where we show what our talent really get up to. They're curated dinners, food and beverage, and some of them are amazing.
So, Town Square Kitchen, what do you want to go to? We've got Chong, Maggie, we've got Wasted with our mate Kane, Karina, we've got Pink Fizz for you.
Yeah. This is kind of like all the high-end stuff, right? This is where all the kind of chefs come to play. So there's heaps of stuff to do. But then there's like the lunches as well, if you just want to zip in and grab a quick kind of hour or two lunch.
In Town Square Kitchen, we also have the Express Lunch series this year, so it's brand new. $40 is a main course and a glass of wine presented by Nick, again, curated beautiful wine offering. And the dishes, it's one of our leading talent. They're just doing a main course, but it's a spectacular way to come in and experience Tasting Australia, and it's $40. So the Masterclass Pavilion, beautiful setting to come and try some of our beverage from South Australia, and internationally. So these are really carefully curated classes. A lot of these experiences you just couldn't get anywhere else. So Tasting Australia is a South Australian event. Of course, we've got the hub in the city, but we're in 11 regions. Like, we're really spanning across South Australia, and it's all the way from the southeast up to Coober Pedy, across to Flinders Ranges, back down to Clare, Barossa, and we go right across to the Eyre Peninsula and Coffin Bay. So it is the breadth and depth of South Australia.
Keep on moving on.
One of Tasting Australia's venues is here at Kingsford the Barossa. This incredible property, you may remember, was the setting for McLeod's Daughters. Well, it's recently had a major renovation and I am itching to take a look around.
Bring it back to me. Bring it back to me. Bring it back to me.
Kingsford has an absolutely amazing history. It was built by Stephen King, who was a great industrialist who lived at Gawler. The property ended up owned by the government and they decided to sell 140 acres with the homestead. And Leanne and I were about to have our second child and we decided we'd buy the property. But 3 days before the auction, Channel 9 came in and purchased the property. So we were very disappointed. But in hindsight, it was a great thing because McLeod's Daughters was filmed here. It was wonderful for the area, wonderful for South Australia, and really gave Kingsford that other part of its history. And so, luckily enough, it came on the market again and we were lucky enough to buy it. Then we decided we'd turn it into a little 7-suite property where it's more of a B&B where we did weddings and the like. And that was really the first stage in Kingsford's life.
It's evident in the details that the renovations to the property were meticulously planned and executed. What started as a small 7-suite property is now a luxury retreat. There are 8 suites here in the homestead and there are 16 luxury suites on the entire property, and I have the key to the Hann suite. Let's take a look. This is luxe. Velvet chair, it's got my name on it. Oh, beautiful. Did someone say marble? They've used really modern finishes, but the floors looks like the tessellated tile look. It's gorgeous.
Everything about this whole property is really what we've personally, spent so much time thinking about and designing. The inspirations really come from Leanne and my travels. The main lodge bar, that was really, we saw a great lodge in Wyoming and said, right, we really need that. The Kegel Balm at the back here, I saw a fantastic Tenpin bowling alley in the Ham Yard in London. You look at the wine tunnels, and they've been inspired from a mate's house in Bristol. So we've actually bought all those little bits from around the world and brought it back here into Kingsford.
So Leanne, Stefan said you had quite an input into the styling of the room. Can you tell us some of the inspiration for the round edges that we're seeing?
The inspiration behind that was our overseas travels, and wanting to have a curved ceiling gave it a more softer feel in our new view suites.
It's a quirky piece of art, Leanne. Who's the artist?
A local artist called Rod Schubert, and he's a really good friend of ours as well. It's painted on wood, and we do actually see a lot of these cockatoos around Kingsford. That's why it's so special to us.
Don't try to change my mind, in fact.
A local artist and good friend, Ebony Heinrich, created some beautiful pieces for the suite, including the robe hooks, bedside tables, door handles, and the link art piece above the bed. Quite a talent. It's like the whole room, and the experience just continues outside. When you stay here, they don't have an a la carte menu per se, but they do have amazing food offerings. For example, wood oven pizza, which I can smell now, 5-star degustation menu. Also, the tapas, I've heard, is incredible. Plus, local produce platters. You're certainly not going to go hungry.
Come here to Kingsford, it really is like coming to a bit of Australiana. You're 40 minutes from Adelaide, we come here, we have kangaroos around the property, we have amazing bushland, we've got billabongs down at the river.
if you have something exciting coming up to celebrate, how is this wine tunnel for a venue with a 21-metre Barossa bespoke table and 6 wine cellars to boot? I'll see you in a little while.
As we all shake off being locked down and isolated,
There seems to be a renewed yearning to just get out and do stuff.
and celebrate being able to travel again. And while I love it here in Glenelg, and how could you not, thinking a sneaky little trip to Queensland might be on the cards. Now, something my wife and I are really keen to discover is the reef sleep experience. Check it out.
The big blue of the Great Barrier Reef. No matter how many times you visit, it's pure magic. Maybe it's the feeling of escape, being so far from shore, or the abundant marine life that calls this blue haven home.
Welcome to my happy place, Reefworld on the Great Barrier Reef off the Whitsundays, a man-made island in the middle of an underwater oasis.
We're on board with Cruise with Sundays on a day trip to their pontoon on Hardy Reef, about 62 k's offshore from Airlie Beach. Reefworld is a little like a floating city, and it's one of the best places to learn about the planet's biggest living organism. Reefworld offers guided snorkeling tours, and for certified divers, a more intimate way to get to know the reef's residents. I'm joined by Peter Farrell, Reefworld's marine naturalist.
The number of fish in here is just unbelievable. The pontoon seems to offer some small fish some protection, and as a result, bigger fish come in to try and find them, and the number of reef fish is just extraordinary, and the variety, the biodiversity is incredible.
Yeah, we're surrounded by these yellow...
Yellow-tailed fusiliers, that's the one.
Oh, right, they're very friendly too.
They're very friendly.
How incredible does this look? But wait till you see what's next.
But what happens when all the swims are being swum and the guests, well, they're on their way home?
This is what happens. A lucky few get to spend the next 24 hours in splendid isolation here on the Great Barrier Reef. It's called Reef Sleep, a unique experience on Cruise with Sunday's floating reef pontoon, Reefworld. Who would have thought you could roll out the swag on the open ocean?
I'd like you to step into Casa del Strauss, my digs for the evening. And when we say room with a view, we mean room with a view.
Reef Sleep is where you get to spend 2 days on the Great Barrier Reef. You get a special menu. You get to stay in these very awesome swags. You get to stay under the stars. You get to see the sunrise in the morning. You get to see all the marine life as well coming out later on in the day. So it's very exclusive.
Now, a tent under the stars at sea is sensational, no complaints here. But if you want to upgrade your Robinson Crusoe adventure, check out the Reef Suites Below Deck, Australia's first underwater hotel.
Now we're talking.
I know, right?
And he's a massive GT, he'd be about a metre.
Absolutely. They'll definitely greet you all day.
Just so amazing.
It's beautiful.
Oh, wow. I'm completely blown away. And I take it my reaction is pretty standard.
This is the best part of our jobs. That impression that you have walking down here to show people these rooms is magnificent.
There are 2 king double rooms with ensuite and floor-to-ceiling views of the spectacular underwater world of the Great Barrier Reef. Puts a whole new spin on sleeping with the fishies, doesn't it?
This is what it's like to sleep in an aquarium.
And the lights come on at night, so you'll see a lot of giant trevally action. Even George, the massive groper, will sit right outside your window for a few hours.
Meanwhile, on the top deck, there's plenty happening too. Our private chef is preparing dinner.
Thank you. Oh my God.
And the world's greatest light show is about to start.
I've seen my share of sunsets, but this one, yep, it's pretty special.
What follows the sun's flashy farewell from the stage? A chorus of stars, and billions of them. With no artificial light to compete, their dazzling dance is extraordinary.
Well, Andrew and Dwayne showed us the very fancy reef sleep experience, which looks just incredible. But we know Queensland is a very big place. So I've roped in some SA locals to give us the lowdown on their favourite spots to visit in the Sunshine State. We're here with Hans, drinking the Hans at 2KW. What do we love about Queensland? What's your favourite place to visit?
That's a good one. In Queensland, I love the Whitsundays. I've probably done the hire boat cruise because you can hire it. I can't afford the boat.
My favourite place, I think I love going to the Sunshine Coast. Specifically, there's a lovely place called Mooloolaba, and it's like, it's like a real-life summer bay. It's fantastic, El.
Well, look, because I've got 3 little kids and they're like 3 little maniacs, I probably have to go to the Gold Coast. We've got to find things to keep them busy. I haven't had the chance to take them yet to any of the worlds, Movie World and Sea World and so forth.
I love a theme park. Anything where I can be in a harness and flung upside down, that works for me.
Perfect. And what's your favourite time of the year to go to Queensland, would you say?
Gee, that's a good question, isn't it?
Well, obviously summer is the best time.
Anytime. Anytime is great. Like, we've taken the kids up to Queensland in the middle of winter.
I think October, just after the football season, was always a good time.
What about the biggest mistake people make when they're travelling?
Taking an accordion in the overhead compartment.
What's the biggest mistake people make when travelling?
Taking their wife.
But I think the best thing to do is, if you've got kids, don't take them. Leave them at home. That is by far the best thing to do.
Well done.
If you're planning an overseas holiday, you might be feeling a little nervous, which is completely understandable. Questions like, what do I do when I arrive at the airport? Are there special visas I need? And what type of insurance should I have? Well, I can't think of 2 better people to answer these questions than a travel agent and the managing director of the Adelaide Airport.
Our advice to people is just make sure you're prepared, because inevitably things just are taking a little bit longer than we otherwise might like. When you're travelling internationally, make sure you have your physical documentation.
Make sure that you have everything printed out in paper form and not just relying on your vouchers digitally in case something does go wrong while you're overseas.
We haven't had to travel with vaccine passports before or proof that you've had your PCR tests. And the challenge is every individual country, they have their own rules.
Travel requirements are changing almost daily, but currently there are a number of quarantine-free countries that you can travel to, including many through Europe, Fiji and New Zealand.
If you're travelling internationally, make sure you leave 3 hours between you arriving at the airport and when your scheduled flight is. If you're travelling domestically, you normally advise at least an hour. I'd advise 2 hours at this point of time.
Currently there are still some countries that are requiring you to have COVID-related cover, so it's really important that you do check if your travel insurance has those covers. Something that you do really need to consider post-COVID that we never really thought about beforehand is the delays in passport reissues. In some instances, this is taking up to 6 months, so it's really important to make sure you get your passports out, make sure that they're still valid and good to go for wherever you're travelling to.
From Adelaide, we have been so well served through this pandemic by Singapore Airlines, Qatar Airways, and as well as Malaysia. And then we've got Air New Zealand coming in July as well to serve that New Zealand market and their wonderful connections through to both the North and South Islands.
I think the takeaway for me is regularly check in with your travel agent, be organised and don't forget your paper backups. Happy travels!
For these and other travel offers, visit the RAA website.